Hi, and welcome to the channel. Today I'd like to show you around the project that I'm working on at the moment, which is a sort of what if Walt Disney was British rather than American, and so what if Magic Kingdom was built with the reference and framing of Walt Disney being the same, kinda, but not American. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you the first part of this park, which is the sort of entrance and main street area. You will have seen in the sort of cinematic, poorly made cinematic shots just before an overview of it, but I'll show you it in a bit more detail and describe a little bit what's going on. So the entrance area, kind of sketched it out a little bit, where it's going to be sort of the road entrance, etc. And over here is like a remote parking, multi-story car park, which I'm quite pleased with. It's got all different levels, and ChatGPT helped me make some some signage for it. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. And then there's going to be like a shuttle bus service to take guests over to the main entrance. Please excuse all of these like bits of building, parts of buildings just scattered everywhere. I just need to tidy all those up. But yeah, coming over to the sort of main entrance turnstile area, I really wanted it to be sort of themed or styled really for sort of 90s French sort of style, if that makes sense. In my head, that's what it is. But I'm just thinking back to when I was a kid, going across to Calais and Euro Disney and places like that. And it all had this kind of like steel, metal, glass with sort of blue and yellow colours. I don't know, in my mind, that's just what I've got. So I kind of wanted the entrance area to be a bit like that, with some glass, and also to kind of sort of contrast with the aesthetic of the park once you're through the gates. So we'll go through. We've just got this little entrance area, plaza here. So this, I'll preface this whole showing with, it's obviously not finished yet. I've got a lot of small bits, like you can see where the sort of grass is over here and whatever. And obviously I need to add sort of street furniture, things like that. But generally speaking, this is how it's going to be, just not quite finished yet. So yeah, so you enter the park through the town wall, the town gates, which is very reminiscent of a lot of historic towns in England. And I kind of based the idea of this, and I'm sure there's lots of places that have this sort of thing, but off of Canterbury in Kent, which I remember having sort of an entrance arch and sort of through some old town gates and walls. So yeah, once you enter, we'll go over the top. Once you enter through that bit, you're met with this sort of entrance, second entrance plaza, where you're in the theme now. So the idea being that the buildings closest to the wall are the oldest. So you've got these sort of Tudor effect ones over here, and as you can see, they've sort of got a bit of a slant on them, a bit wonky. And same over here. These ones were modelled after the Rose area of Chester, which has many roads with these sort of dual level Tudor buildings where you've got like a sort of promenade thing at the top, and then shops also underneath. So that's just like a little gift shop and a coffee shop in there. I've got a lot of vacant shops, and I'm not really too sure what I'm going to put in them all because I don't want it to just be endless shops in the sort of main street area. Obviously, we need some restaurants and shops and cafes and things, but I don't want it to just be give me your money, you know. So within the game, I'm going to try and sort of do like a living history kind of thing, and you'll see where I've kind of use that idea a little bit as we go through. But yeah, over here we've got this sort of ice cream parlor type thing with like a flavor of the day thing that twizzles around. And over here there's like one of the main gift shops in this sort of Tudor effect house. Also, you'll notice, or maybe some people will notice, a lot of the shop names or names of people that are used in this are from a particular book series, and double points to anyone who can who can figure that out. I'll be your friend forever. So yeah, we got the bakery here, which has got this sort of elaborate flour delivery pipework system on the front, just to add a sort of touch of whimsy, really. Because I found once I'd built this area, or a lot of this area, it just looked a bit, to me anyway, just like any old street of any old town. So I needed to add some sort of like whimsical features for, because it's a theme park, obviously. So that's where sort of like this flavor of the day thing and this ship and all of this sort of stuff has kind of come in. So guests have the option once they enter this plaza of going either this way to the left or to the right, and it all meets up around the other side anyway. But yeah, we'll go around the right hand side first. So on this side you've got this pub, which I'm super pleased with. It does have an upstairs, not quite, well, you can't really see, but it's not really finished. And there's no actual way for people to get up there just yet. I haven't put any stairs or anything in. Interiors of buildings are not my strong point, so you'll see that is quite evident. But yeah, quite happy with this pub. With the sort of, I love those pubs that you find in London or wherever with the sort of shiny tiles on the outside. I think the green works really well. Over this side, there's sort of some random shop facades and like a police station, because every town's got a little police station, which will be within the framework of the park, like the sort of security office. And I really wanted to include this sort of blue lantern that a lot of old police stations have in the UK. So yeah, that's that. The stables area is sort of like one of these living history kind of things. So I don't know quite how I'm going to make it work in the game. Probably you have to use your imagination, but have a sort of real life horses here, and sort of like have people putting shoes on horses and things like that. Then a couple of random facades. I'll come to the railway in a moment. And again, some more facades over here. Not quite finished. I need to put some stairs and things on this. But let me go around the other side before I get around to that bit. So yeah, some more facades and things. The clock watchmaker there. This is going to be like a telegraph office, like a post office telegraph office, with like what do they call that? Like an optical telegraph semaphore kind of thing, which just adds a bit of whimsy and also some movement, which I was quite keen to get. Let's see what else. And over here is the, oh, I should have said this sort of town is named Wychester, which is like a fictional name, but like blending together elements of town names in the UK. So obviously Chester is like an old Roman, I think, name part, and Y is Anglo-Saxon, I think. But you've got this sort of like comic scene here of them trying to winch in this oversized fossil in through the window, just to add a little bit of whimsy. Mrs. Willink's House of Trinkets. Again, if anyone knows the references here, please leave a comment. And moving over here, so I wanted like every town in the UK has got a church or a cathedral or some kind of religious building, but it doesn't really work so well in a theme park. Like I don't really want any obviously religious buildings, because it's just, yeah, I don't want that. So I kind of made this like assembly hall, kind of like a town hall-esque type thing, but with sort of ecclesiastical elements, like the big windows and the bell tower and that sort of thing. Oh god. And I've put some like commemorative stones here on the side, which are kind of a bit tongue-in-cheek. Pickles the cat. Yeah, got a few of those. Let's go to the railway. So I really wanted to include a form of transport in the Main Street area, but break away from the sort of Disney-esque thing of having a station for a steam train or something right over the entrance that guests go under. So I wanted to place it somewhere else. And with this new tram, I thought it would be perfect to just have some little aspect of transport and kinetic energy moving around the area. So we've got this Wychester overhead electric tramway, which does have a bit of an interior. Let's see if I can go in there. Oop. Yeah, unfinished, but the queue area is all around here, and then up to the platform up here. We got some nice custom-made buffer stops, and then moving over. Oh yeah, I forgot about the pie, the eel and pie house. Which, if anyone's been to London, you'll know that those are quite historic and famous. And no, I've never had any eels, and no, I don't want to. Thanks very much. This sort of second track is just as if it's like a sidings or something for the tramway, but it doesn't go anywhere, and it's non-functional. Then we've got here this sort of passing alley, because certain areas of London do have these alleyways through, little cut-throughs between streets, and I really wanted to incorporate that just to add a little cut-through for guests, but also a bit of interest, a bit of what's in this corner. Oh, there's a passageway. Where does it go? We'll see on the other side where it comes out. Then some just random buildings here, and a hotel, which hopefully at some point we'll get the facility to actually add functioning hotels in the game, in which case I will try and use that as the hotel. Over this side is sort of like a bank type building, which took an absolutely insane amount of time to build because of all of these blocks. I really wanted to get that effect of like Portland stone, I think it is, blocks like this. But yeah, quite pleased with that. And it's actually, the interior is the restaurant next door is on the first floor. So I've got this arcade over here, which is massively unfinished, which is why I've blocked it off. But you can see it kind of goes from here and comes out over here, because there's a lot of famous arcades in London and in Cardiff as well. I remember when I went to Cardiff, there was a lot of little arcadey things which I quite liked, but quite like this this ceiling. But it also adds a sort of, because the park is set in the UK, like that's where the park is, the weather, as most people will know, is not so great most of the time here. And so I wanted some like dry areas for people to go for when it's raining. And this is the restaurant here, which again, unfinished. Various shop facades, fronts, and there's also these little like this is a backstage access area for staff and what have you to come in and out. And then you move on to this bit. So I wanted it all, as you can see from above, sort of you come in and it's all a bit wonky and not straight, which is pretty typical of UK towns. It's not like America where it's all grids and square and everything's all in order, because towns in the UK grew organically from Roman times, medieval times onwards. Everything's all a bit on the wonk and not quite straight. So with this park, the effect that gives is that the reveal of the weenie, which is a castle, as you probably saw, is not immediate. As you come into Main Street, you have to kind of walk around a bit, and it's framed with this railway bridge here, and there he is. The tram sort of crosses on front, which adds another sort of element of movement, which I quite like. And the cinema here, quite pleased about. You might have seen I posted some screenshots on Reddit for this one, but this one does have a bit of an interior which I quite enjoy. And the actual cinemas are behind. Let's see if I can go in there. Oop. Yeah, so there's 2 cinema rooms set up. Oh geez, the camera is hard to control. So yeah, that's the first sort of attraction, or after the tram, the first attraction that people will come across. And then going through underneath, the railway bridge, you get to what's going to be sort of the riverfront, because I didn't want it to be like a seafront, because obviously there's a whopping great castle there, but it's like a riverfront. So as if Wychester is like a river, provincial river market sort of town. So you got some warehousing and like a customs house, and then this, I'm quite pleased with this one. This is the Port of Wychester Harbour Master and Navigation Authority, with a really cool lighthouse on the top. And I tried to do those lenses. Do they call them like Fresnel lenses or something like that? But yeah, and with the new this lighting from the Studios pack, if I quickly change it to nighttime, it gives you that really cool rotating searchlight, which I really love. And then moving around here, we got this like little fisherman's wharf, like nautical themed area, this is the back of the market, which has an entrance on the sort of main thoroughfare. But this will be like a fish market, and a little boat shed, and this little basin area where the tram sort of comes around. I'll show you as well. I've got this little maintenance shed for the trams tucked out the way backstage. But yeah, we've got this little basin, and this is the other station for the overhead electric tramway, which finishes sort of over the water. And I took inspiration, as some people may know, from Portsmouth Harbour, where you've got the Hard interchange, because this area was known as the Hard, like a solid area to dock ships. So quite like that, and with like a little signal box. And yeah, I was inspired as well by the Buena Vista Street build. Forget the guy's name, Dexter maybe, is making to do the overhead catenary wires for the tram, just to add another touch of detail for it and realism. But it took an absolute age to do, as you can imagine. But I'm pleased with how it's worked out. And then over here you've got sort of these are inspired by Hastings in Sussex, where you've got these black wooden, what do they call them, like net shops or something, where they used to, if I can get my words out, dry their fishing nets in these tall black wooden buildings. And so that's about it really, for the time being. Over this side, so this side of the riverfront is like the sort of industrial commercial side, with the fishing and chandlers and stuff like that. And then on this side is going to be the sort of leisure side, reminiscent of British seaside towns. So we've got like a Grand Hotel, which is not quite finished, and like penny arcades, which are my favourite thing about going to the seaside, is spending too much money in these arcades to win absolutely nothing. So that's all going to be over on this side. And then moving around, if I show you like the whole area, so obviously we've got this castle, which I wanted a castle, but not like a fairy tale castle, because this is sort of set in England. So we have these kind of square Norman kind of castles. So this is not finished yet, obviously, same as everything, but inspired by sort of places like Bodiam Castle, Dover Castle, places like that. But yeah, and it's quite small as well, because I wanted to try a bit of forced perspective with this castle. So it's in reality quite small, and on top of this big mound. It's a nice weenie for us. Over here I made the first sort of step into the next themed land, which is going to be Indian themed, and this bridge is inspired by this bridge in India. And the reasoning behind India was, so in this sort of area of Magic Kingdom, you've got Adventureland, right, which is the sort of where was like of the period that Walt Disney was alive, etc. It was like the tiki craze and like tropical things, and that was like a thing for America at that time. But at this time for England, it was India, right? Like that was the adventurous place. So yeah, I'm going to have a sort of Indian themed area over here, with, on this side, a roller coaster, hopefully, with like sort of Himalayan mountains and some kind of roller coaster. And then moving around, I do have some other ideas for the other lands, but they're not quite ready for me to start saying about or building yet. Over here is just all of my, every building that I make, I'll put a copy of it over here so I can save it for a blueprint. Or I like to nick the windows because they're the most pain in the bum bit about building these facades, is making the windows every time. So over here I can just come and steal some windows and modify them for any future buildings. But yeah, that's it now. That's it. Hope you like it. And yeah, I'll post some more update videos as I get on. As you can imagine, it takes quite a long time to do any kind of progress, and I've still got a lot to finish, but I hope you like it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.